Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you Game 3 of a best of 5 between WOEISME and SCUF in the grand final of the Division 1 playoffs of the WARNO League. Today they are playing on death row, and on our left in the red team we have WOEISME playing with the 9th Panzer Division. And on our right in the blue team we have SCUF using the 4th Dutch Division. Our previous couple games in this series have been very volatile. The first game went well in favour of WOEISME as SCUF threw in the towel roughly around 10 minutes in, so an extremely fast game won. And I was looking to see if SCUF could reset, and he kind of did. Definitely put up a much greater fight in Game 2, but WOEISME still managed to take that one from him after SCUF got a massive conquest lead. This time around, we're going to see how SCUF can do with this Dutch division. It's not a division that I've seen used very much in the competitive finals at the moment. So yeah, curious what his strategy is with that one, but it's going to play out relatively similar to the 5th Panzer Division, I imagine. And then on the 9th Panzer side of things, well, that's a very strong division. You've got the napalm launcher, you've got really cost-efficient T-72s, and WOE will be trying to build those up in order to bully SCUF. All right, let's have a quick look at what's going down here. So WOE playing with the Mot Avkadder and the BMP-1 Avkadders. So he's got 3 of those across the front. He's got 1 Mot Avkadder in just the truck, and also the Avkadder in the KPV UAZ. Then he's got the leader T-72, the T-72 MK, and then the BMP-D there as well with the Motschütze. And WOE loves these command tanks, he really does. Another one heading towards the centre, and also the 120mm mortars to provide smoke. T-72 MUV-2, a couple Mi-2 URNs, BMP-2 with Motschütze on the bottom side. MiG heading around the top side, and we've got a Freedom Fighter NF5A from SCUF on the bottom. The 2 BO-105s for SCUF, we've got the KCT Vikennas on the bottom side, couple of Vikennas AT. There's 2 M113 CNVs, which have those 25mm autocannons. There's an HGM vehicle on this bottom side, but let's just quickly watch this engagement. Neither plane going to be going down. The Freedom Fighter forced off though, as the MiG-23 did manage to get one R60 on target. But Totu heading to the middle, we've got the YPR-765, they have the 25mm autocannon as well. We've got the iHawk there. The Leopard 2A4, that's a leader as well. That's a very expensive unit, 290 points out the bat. And then we have the Leopard 1 and out, the supply, another leader heading to the top side, Leopard 1 and out, and a reserve infantry unit there. Mi-2s come up and managed to take out the Laro. Now they're both engaging the M113s. Those M113s can be quite deadly for the Mi-2s, but he's managed to take out the Vikennas. The MiG-23 did a good job of taking down both the BO-105s. NF5A coming in to take out the Mi-2 at least. 125 point plane, killing the 60 point helicopters. If they can get a couple of those, it's great. So, 1 down, and both sides trading, I would say, relatively evenly early on. I think WOE definitely got a few more kills overall, but SCUF still in a reasonable position here, unless this M113 goes down, which it will, to the autocannon of the BMP-2, and he drops the smoke just in time to stop the TOW-2 from the Brat hitting the mark. Motschütze will be able to run up, and that's going to force the M113 CNV to back off. So both players playing this very well so far. Leopard 2A4 are right out in the open. This is a scary position for the Leopard 2A4 to be at this point in the game, because it can become very vulnerable to airstrikes, which is something that the 9th Panzer likes to do in abundance. So Su-22 coming in here for the cluster onto the 2A4B, but the 2A4 just managing to get out of the way in time. The Leopard 1NL does die, but the second cluster coming in for the iHawk kills off the supply as well. That was a brutal airstrike from WOE, and SCUF is not going to want to let that keep happening. Oh, the F-16 on the backside there, almost taking out the Su-22 on the way out, but not quite managing to do so. Has run out of AIM-9s now, so will want to return to base unless he's going to strafe something. But the Freedom Fighter hanging about still. These aircraft are going to be so crucial. If he can take down the Su-22s with these aircraft over time, that would be great. But he's actually going for the ground strafe here. Mortav cutter absolutely annihilated by the Vulcan strafing run there. So Totu coming across, looking for the shot onto the T-72. T-72 side shot. Oh, it goes down. That's the leader taken out. Those aren't too cheap. 175 points apiece. Now we got the F-16 strafing the Mortav cutter as it moves forwards. Another Totu coming in for the T-72 MUV, and it is showing side again. Does get taken out, but the Su-22 coming in with the rocket strike to reply. Takes out the Stinger and the Totu. NF-5A going to be looking to get on the back in order to strafe that out the sky, but unfortunately those guns not being too effective. Oh, lovely cluster strike from Scuff, takes out the second T-72 leader. And wow, that was a very exciting chain of events. Both sides definitely not pulling punches. That was awesome. So, where has that left us once the dust has settled? WoE still has a reasonable position on this bottom side, but that is going to allow Scuff to take full control of this sector. So we're currently sitting on equal income and conquest points, and WoE is currently slightly ahead in overall conquest points. So strafing run coming in there for the NF-5A. It's completely used up its gun ammo even. F-16 finishes it off. So these aircraft, they're doing okay. Those strafing runs are very cheeky, and something that WoE will be frustrated about. It doesn't really have any AA to stop them at the moment. Those aircraft have been freely flying around. Now the KUF's coming in. We got the 3 Shilkers there as well. Looks like he's had enough of that. But the nice thing about bringing in all of this AA is it will potentially protect his Su-22s should the F-16s and the NF-5As come in to contest them. So Mortav cutter just about getting out there. Both of these Mortav cutter extremely low on health. They do need replenishing at some point if possible. This one may be a bit too far in order to do that. But currently it's just kind of like sat in the middle of the trees here. I'm surprised he hasn't moved it at least to the edge so he can see what's coming. On the top, meanwhile, a little bit of an engagement going on. We've got the Dutch reservists going up against the Mortav cutter. The Dutch reservists with military police can be very effective, and since the Mortav cutter aren't in cover, they will still be able to do a decent amount of damage there. Well, it looks like the NF-5A managed to get the strafe onto the Modschützen thanks to the recon from the Vikennas. MiG-23 trying to land an R-24, but not managing to do so. Eyehawk also missing there. The reason you bring in these Eyehawks is they can be quite reliable, but he doesn't have any veterancy on that Eyehawk, so the accuracy is only 55%, and then you've got to account for ECM. Not sure how much ECM the MiG-23 has. 10%. Okay, so not too much to worry about. So it looks like the F-16 there was going to go for a strafing run onto the Mortav cutter, but it has moved out the way. The BMP-1's going to continue to try and harass that reserve infantry. Modschützen are coming forwards to try and push them out there. This could give WoE a hold on this top side, because there's not really anything here defending. F-16 looks like it was targeting something, but then got pulled away. But these air engagements, I tell you what, they haven't really been very lethal. You know, you got these like freedom fighters, you got MiG-23s and F-16s, and neither planes have really been shooting each other down at the moment. Well, F-16 went for the strike, but didn't manage to find it because of the angle of attack and the cliff behind. It would have had to fly like straight into the cliff in order to get that shot off. But coming in from a different angle now should be absolutely fine. Has still managed to hit the cliff. MiG-23, managed to fire 3 R-60s, but only 1 hit the mark. Now the freedom fighter going to try and chase the MiG-23 with its gun. Will it have enough time? It will not. The MiG-23 gets out once again, and that's just due to the fact that these only have 2 AIM-9s. So really, really low on missiles. Either way, the YPR 765 has arrived on the top side here with some new Panzer infantry that are moving up, and they will be able to clean up the Mudschützen here. That's going to prevent any hold from WOEISME on the top side. Interesting push here from T-72. Uncharacteristic mistake, I would say. The T-72 just YOLO'd up the hill. And the Carl Gustav, it looks like, only hit once, so kind of lucky there. Maybe due to the fact that the Vulcanes were low on cohesion. And he's even going to get the kill on the reverse. So yeah, T-72 getting extremely lucky there. Not to take too much damage. It might have still survived, but yeah, that was an interesting play. He's going to have to be really, really careful coming up this ridge because the Leopard 2A4 here is ready to pounce, and this is the anchor to the middle of this map at the moment. It does have a really solid gun, 21 penetration, 70% accuracy, 65% on the move at 2,275 meter range, whilst the T-72 is 19 penetration at 2,100 meter range. So the disparity here in like quality of gun is quite high, although the armor is not that different. So see, the T-72 has 16 armor, 2A4B has 16 armor. The 2A4C has a bit more front armor, and we'll probably see them come into play at some point, as they will be needed to take on the T-72Ss of the 9th Panzer that we'll inevitably see at some point. Got the Panzer infantry coming in here to engage the Mott Aufgabe, push them out of the position, blind Woe just a little bit more. Pioneer with flamethrowers being used, interesting. Not a big fan of these due to their low accuracy on the flamethrower. It does make them actually miss, especially when they take a little bit of cohesion loss. The flamethrower just goes so like wild all over the place. Little rocket strike there from the Su-22 takes out the Vulcanes AT though. That's very nice. And now the cluster coming in for the Eyehawk again. And the Eyehawk goes down alongside the supply. A very nasty strike once again from the Su-22, and the F-16 even missing both of its AIM-9s on the way out. That is tragic. The ECM on the Su-22, they're paying off. Yes, the Su-22 rocket went down, but the Su-22 cluster is arguably more valuable as a kill, and missing that is really, really tough for Scuff. Now we're seeing another Eyehawk get immediately destroyed by the first napalm round, as the napalm has now joined us on the field. The RM-70 napalm launcher. This thing is really, really tough to deal with because it comes with 8 rockets straight out of the gate, and that is something that you can kind of spread all across the map. You don't have to fire all 40 at once. You can fire like 10 in one place, 10 in another place, 10 in another place, 10 in another place. Then it has to reload, and you can do the same again. Like however many you really want to fire at a time, but it only has to reload after it's fired 40 rockets, so you can constantly split them. Or one freedom fighter goes down there, the KUF and the Schilker. Yeah, this combination is really nasty. Like bringing in the Schilkers here is important because it does that little bit extra chip damage that allows the one shot from the KUF to be enough to kill them. So the Schilker, you know, can either finish them off or hit them in advance, and then the KUF just hits the missile, and the NF in that case goes down. So SPW taken out by the Panzer infantry. The Pioneer is going to move in there to engage them. The Flames at the moment, after killing the Eyehawk, haven't really hit the mark all that much, but another strike set on engaging 2A4B, which could be really rough, but Scuff's already moving it. I like that. I like that a lot. Scuff, he knows what's coming at this point. Now the napalm launch is in play, he's got to keep these heavy tanks moving, and if he does, then he should be at very low risk of losing anything to the napalm, because the biggest threat with napalm is if you get hit by it initially, it lowers your cohesion, it slows you down, and then the surrounding rockets like stop you from really going anywhere, and you just take damage anywhere you drive, and then you like lose your units that way. But if you're preemptively moving like he did with the 2A4B, then it puts him in a very, very solid position. Panzer infantry did manage to finish off the Pioneer. Oh, and the Su-22 snipe though onto the YPR leader. Managed to come round the edge there and catch that out. I don't know what quite had line of sight. It might have been I feel like if it was a BMP-1, it would have been firing at it. Maybe the mod Avgard here spotted them briefly, but that was crazy. KH-29 there, getting on target. T-72 in a tough spot. TOW2 finishing it off. Mod Avgard also going down. So Scuff really keeping up the pressure on the ground at the moment, and I'm loving to see it. I really want to see, you know, everyone wants to see a 5-game grand final because it's always pretty epic. So Scuff doing well here is a very pleasant return to form. Now we've got the Panzer infantry there with the Dragon trying to engage the BMP, but Woe knows that if he moves a little bit closer, the Dragon's not going to be able to fire. So he is using that to his advantage, but Scuff's not going to let him continue to do so, and is bringing up the Leopard 1NL and the 2A4 to clean that out. Down goes the BMP-1. Very nice. Alright, more infantry moving through the heavy cover here to secure this bottom sector. If he can secure both sectors, it's going to give him a massive amount of points. Currently he's sitting on the +2, so he is now ticking ahead of Woe once again in conquest score. MiG-23s though, ready to pounce. F-16 goes down. Trades for a second F-16. That is not good news at all for Scuff. Losing both those F-16s leaves him very vulnerable to the Su-22s, and that's why Woe's quite happy there to trade his MiGs for the F-16s, because it will open up his other ground attack aircraft. But Shilka going down here. T-72 has now arrived though. And the T-72S, this is the tank I was talking about earlier. It's the best tank that the 9th Panzer has to offer. It has a 19 pen gun with 2,100 meter range, but the thing that makes it really exceptional is the severe HGM. 2,800 meter range with 21 penetration, 60% accuracy. It also has 18 front armor with explosive reactive armor and resolute trait. So it's an absolute beast of a tank for 245 points. And this is what Woe will be trying to use to engage these Leopards, because that Zvir is very easily going to do plenty of damage to the front armor of a Leopard 2A4. And you can see it does travel very fast. It has a pretty high velocity, and the YPR supply there getting taken out. Now on the backside, you might notice that we've now got loads of cheaters on the map for Scuff, because most of the Eyehawks have been killed at this point, and that's just another effort by Woe in order to open up the skies for the use of the Su-22s, whilst he continues to build up the T-72s on the back side here. We can see both the Su-22 M4 cluster and AT variant ready to go here, waiting to get a pounce onto the 2A4B in the center. They are coming over. Su-22 here, looking to kill the mortar. Wants to take out the mortar so that it stops smoking and allowing the YPR leader to move in there. But I'm not sure that was really worth it. Diving deep for that, getting caught by the cheater and the stinger. Definitely not value for money. Now the YPR is just going to safely move in there whilst the smoke continues. And yeah, Scuff just bought a new one straight away so that he can continue to try and counter the cap on this sector, and now moves himself to a +4, because both those command tanks that went down early on have been killed, and that kind of left Woe here with no real command units. So he's brought in another T-72 leader now that's going to be trying to contest Elena, but he is going to have to find a way to get rid of this 2A4, especially before the second 2A4 arrives, because you know, the more that they build up, these 2A4s are going to be able to cut down T-72s very nicely from a distance. T-72 though, here comes the Zvir, straight into the front armor, but you can see how much that has damaged the tanks, like 3 health plus the cohesion. So it went down to medium cohesion, which is really, really rough, because it's going to massively affect the accuracy of that Leopard. F-16 cluster hanging about. Good. Not hitting the mark at the moment. Or Stinger's trying to move across the open. Stinger also getting cleaned up by the Mudschützen there, as there is now a significant push coming from WOE. He's brought up loads of BMP2s with Mudschützen. He's also brought up a new Aufkadder BMP1 with the Mott Aufkadder. And he's using those with the SPWs there and the Mudschützen just to kind of push through and take the edge of this sector by engaging in these tree lines. These tree lines are very difficult to support from a distance, so he's using overwhelming infantry to take that position just so that he can probably get a leader in there. RM-70 launching a few more napalm rockets. 2A4B immediately moved. Yeah, again, Scuff reacting to the artillery play of WOE extremely well this time around. M113 trying to sneak around the back of the map down here. But here goes the RM-70 napalm again. And this time targeting the Leopard 1NL. The Panzer infantry, unfortunately, in a bit of a sticky situation there. The Leopard 1NL is going to burn out. The supply also getting low, but none of those actually dying. Just the Panzer infantry to the overwhelming number of Mudschützen. Now the BMP2 looking for the Conkers onto the 2A4C on the bottom side. We now have two 2A4Cs on the map, so Scuff certainly building up some significant forces. It's really going to come down to a tussle between these T-72s and the 2A4s. And then you've also got to watch out for these aircraft, because WOE is primed to dive a good target with the 265-point cluster bomber here. He's looking for the 2A4B. He's actually going for the C. And the C here, oh no, it's going to burn out on the napalm. SU-22 does get taken down at least by the Stinger and the Cheetah. But the Stinger was killed swiftly afterwards. So that's a really, really tough trade there for Scuff, losing the 2A4C and the Stinger. Because now he's going to have to invest into another Stinger. 2A4 up against the T-72. The 2A4 does have the advantage, but he won't want to leave that out in the open, again, due to the risk of the Su-22s hanging about. But that is one taken care of, a second taken care of, as the T-72 manages to hit the mark. I believe that was a T-72 leader there. Hit the 2A4B whilst it was low on health, and that did find the kill. So now, no leader in this sector for Scuff. T-72s ready to move in, and the T-72s of WOE haven't really been used that much in this endeavor. So he still has a very large force here ready to push up. The Mudschützen just continuing to push forwards. BMP2's ready in support. The T-72s on the backside just kind of camping out. We got a couple of T-72S's on this bottom side. The T-72 MEVs getting good support in, and a lot of losses now for Scuff in rapid succession. Leopard 1NL, Panzer infantry going down all over the place. He's trying to keep the smoke on to his YPR leader. But Scuff has found himself a decent lead. There is 838 points on the board for Scuff. So still very much all to play for, but oh, lovely kill there. M110 has joined the field. There's actually two of them. The first one, though, finding the kill onto the Cub. Now, it's not going to be as important for Scuff at this point in the game to kill the AA, but it does allow him at least to help his freedom fighter go deeper. And the F-16 also has chances to take out some of the scarier T-72s. So T-72 MEV was killed further up. It looks like that was probably taken out by the Toad 2 here. Solid kill from Scuff, for sure. I really like the use of the support of the tows. Like, the tow vehicles on their own are not always great, but when you're using them alongside your tanks, they can be incredibly effective. Cub on the top side there, not able to land the shot onto the freedom fighter. Now Mott Aufkadder moving around to engage the KCT Vikennas. Looks like the M113 CMV was killed off. MI-24 takes a Stinger to the face. Not a second. BMP2 force back on the top side. It really feels like it's starting to build up on the side of WoE. There's a push really ready to be made here. Look at all these T-72s arriving. The unit disparity after those trades in the mid-game really changed the landscape here. And so here we go with the T-72s pushing up on this bottom side. Also the MiG-23 finding the F-16, and that's a good trade for WoE. That F-16 could be a big threat to concentrated T-72s, and taking that out is going to make things even more difficult for SCUF to deal with these overwhelming numbers. And the numbers advantage really comes from the fact that this division is so cost effective. But 2A4B coming in again. Another 2A4B ready to back it up. There's one 2A4C on the bottom side, but look at the disparity. 1, 2, 3 T-72Ss, 2 T-72 MUVs. The Pratt even loses the tow engagement against the T-72S because the Zvia is just such a good missile. And now BMP2 hits the Conkers onto the 2A4C, so the cohesion's gone down on the 2A4, reducing its accuracy. Things are not looking good. T-72 is going to fire through and kill the KCT. Stinger has been found. Cluster coming in from the F-16, looking for a T-72S. That is a good kill for the F-16 cluster. That's the most valuable tanks that WoE has to offer, so killing them off is good. Although losing the Freedom Fighter for free is not. Nice hit by the 2A4C though. Does kill off one of the T-72 MUVs on the bottom side as well. Now bombing strike coming in, which is going to severely weaken the infantry looking to take that compound. But all the while, we can see that WoE is now taking that +2, and he is continuing to grow his score back towards SCUF. So things are very exciting at the moment. Really loving this game. Both players really pushing each other to the limit. The YPR coming in there, though, is driving straight into a T-72. The Panzer infantry left out in the open against the Mutschützen are not going to last too well either. Will things stabilize for SCUF, or will WoE keep going? That is kind of the question we're at right now, because there is more T-72s coming in, there's more AA coming in, another T-72 MUV on the backside. It's just like every tick, now that WoE has infantry in position, can just be a T-72. Nice kill by the F-16 onto the Mi-24P, and the bomber there hitting the T-72 very hard indeed. Now Vikenna's AT. These guys, they're okay. But I'm not sure they can still beat these because of the MG there and the Resolute trait. It really depends. Like if they stopped and engaged, then maybe they'll be fine. But that was a huge kill in the center. Oh, that came out of nowhere. The Su-22 M4K hits the Leopard 2A4B right in the side armor. Down it goes. The F-16s are on the chase, but they have gone too deep. That is flying right over the Shilkers. And down it goes. 2 F-16s dead, the 2A4B dead, and he didn't even kill the Su-22 on the way out. Absolutely tragic for SCUF. That was a huge kill. Not quite sure why the 2A4B was out in the open there. Maybe he was worried once again about the napalm. But yeah, that was such a cheeky strike. I didn't even see it coming. Wow. Okay, well, with the YPR being captured now by WoE, he has managed to replenish his mod Avkara slightly. Fresh Mutschützen coming in to engage the Vikennas at close range. Should be able to win that one, but 2A4C getting itself into a risky position here. Taking too many shots from the mod Avkara will reduce the cohesion significantly and leave it open to a charge from T-72s. So he's got to be very careful of that one. I believe he probably just thought that there was just the Mutschützen, but even the Mutschützen here, 18 penetration. You don't want to drive into that with a Leopard 2A4, and now the 2A4 determined to show sidearm. It's got to be careful about that. M110, nice artillery though, actually really solid. Good timing on that, although he did just stop it short, so the next shot will only be one. Here comes more napalm. I do feel like WoE hasn't really had the best showing with the napalm in this game. It's a 345 point rocket launcher, and whilst it did kill the Leopard 2A4C, that was only due to the Su-22. Using it to kill the Ihawk was nice. But otherwise, oh no, it's already being counter-batteried. Scuff is on the money, and Woe's been caught sleeping. Will the last shot hit the mark? It will. Down it goes. The RM-17 napalm is even killed. Absolutely huge, and Woe knows that he made a mistake with that one. Gotta move them after they fire. That was a nasty, nasty counter-battery. Very nicely done by Scuff. YPR 765 getting some more 25mm autocannon on target. BO105 just checking this bottom, but running straight into the shulker, and down it goes. Now Su-22 coming in, taking out another YPR, looking for the leader. He's got one more missile. Nice thing about these missiles is they are fire and forget. So you don't actually have to get that close in order to use them. You kind of just swing around, and as you're swinging, the missile gets launched off, and you don't have to like lead it into the target or anything. F-16HE. Well, that's going to take a lot of damage from the shulker there. Does manage to survive though. Now Woe creeping up on Scuff's score. 730 points and counting. YPR is going to move in there to cancel the +2, but that is a lot of T-72s still on this bottom side, and only one 2A4C really there to stop them. So this T-72 moving up aggressively, engaging the Panzer infantry. These T-72s basically being used at the moment as like long-range HDGam units. Or Su-22. Oh! How did he get line of sight on that? The Alf cannon there with the return fire allows the Su-22 to get the shot on target, and tragically the Su-22 does not go down to the cheetah. That is another very expensive tank from Scuff getting killed before it could even get any value. Oh, this is really, really tough, because I feel like Scuff has played this game actually relatively well. There's not too much more he can do to stop the Ihawks doing, other than maybe like moving them after they fire every single time, because like Woe is so on the money with the counter battery onto those missile units. Like an Ihawk, once it fires, you got to see that it fires, and then if you see that it fires, then you pick it up and move it as quickly as possible. But if you didn't see that it fired, because you're concentrating elsewhere on the map, then your opponent's just going to counter battery it while you're not looking, and it's really, really rough to deal with. And that's exactly what happened most likely with the RM-70. So yeah, Scuff having a bad time, and the reason I say about the Ihawks is because the Ihawks are so important for stopping those Su-22 strikes from coming through, but at this point in the game, Scuff really doesn't have much to stop them. And he's going to lose his F-16 there. But yeah, the F-16 AAs have died, the Ihawks have died, some of the Stingers have died, the Freedom Fighters are dead. So what does he kill an Su-22 with? And now the T-72s are built up on the ground, and they have nothing to stop them. They're moving straight through. One of the T-72s does die, in fact, to the HGM, I imagine. But look at this on the top. That's 3 T-72 MUVs, the T-72S, the T-72 leader, and he's trying to put pressure onto the 2A4B and the Leopard 1NL. The Leopard 1NL does go down, but the 2A4B does kill off the T-72, so at least Scuff is going to be able to full cap the top side, but the kill list is not looking pretty for Scuff right now, as more and more units get chewed up by this abundance of units from Woe. Look at the disparity of units hit here. Really good kill onto the Sturm, at least, by the M110. But Su-22 hanging about, looking for the missile onto the Leopard 2A4. 2 KCT cannons gone down, the TOW died in the center. Mutschützen going to continue to press forwards. And now Woe's getting himself into a very nice position. He knows he doesn't have to worry too much about cluster coming in because the F-16s have been killed. So onwards he goes. Leopard 2A4 is going to have to be microed perfectly here, but fires at the Modaf cutter, and the T-72 side shots it. Oh no. Su-22 with the rocket comes in, kills the Vikenna's AT, and yeah, the red tide has arrived. Scuff throws in the towel, and after 32 minutes and 53 seconds, what a game. Way closer than the first two. 1.33 KD for WoE just shows how close that was. 6,895 kills to 5,170 losses. But just towards the end there, the sequence of leopards going down was just really, really tough for Scuff in this one. The other thing about these Eyehawks, you can see that the Su-22 just went and dived straight in for them. And I don't know, I feel like for me personally, like taking them at least one vet, having a leader with them is very necessary for the Eyehawk, because you kind of got to use them like shoot and scoot artillery in order to get value out of them. Their accuracy needs to be higher than 55%, and you can do that quite easily. You can make it 65 with 2 vet. So I think that's maybe one mistake Scuff did in this game. MiG-23 there, getting the double F-16 kill, that's rough. But the RM-70, yeah, didn't really do too much. You know, it finished off the 204C hit, killed one Eyehawk, and then it got counter-batteried. Like, that's not good for WoE. So I feel like Scuff played around that very well. Like, he didn't put anything in, like, obvious positions. He was moving his heavy tanks all the time to make sure that they couldn't get killed. Yes, in some cases it did put them in line of sight of the Su-22. But yeah, I'm very impressed with Scuff in this one. It's just unfortunate for him that he was up against the 9th Panzer, which continued to build up and eventually reached critical mass when those T-72s just charged him across the open. But there it is. That's the grand final, because WoE has reached 3-0 and will be the champion of the WARNO League. Congratulations to him. Wins Division 1, gets himself a nice prize. Scuff taking 2nd place. He can't be unhappy with that. I mean, he did a decent performance in that game, really tried his best, and he's still going to walk away with a decent cash prize. So very nice indeed. If you want to get involved in the league, make sure to sign up before May 29th. So you don't have long, but everyone is welcome. It is for all skill levels, and there are divisions for each level. So this is the top tier, Division 1. But it goes down to, I think, Division 4 or Division 5. But yeah, just check out the link in the description. Head over to the SDL website. Big thanks, of course, to Protoss and the SDL for running these tournaments. They're absolutely awesome. And also big thanks to the players for getting involved. They couldn't run without you. So yeah, really, really awesome stuff. And I love casting them. So I will hopefully be doing more in the future. But that is it from me. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.